All right, I'm going to try to record a little bit of something on the Verselab here regarding vocal, routing, effects, all that kind of stuff. Right now I'm speaking through a condenser mic through a Zoom LifeTrack L6, which plugged into my iPhone. And I have the Verselab plugged into there also. I do have a separate mic, the dynamic mic, solo, pretty good mic, dynamic mic, plugged into the Verselab. So just want to walk through some things because to me it wasn't exactly intuitive how to get this kind of working. So I do have some notes also that I've been kind of taking. So one thing that's interesting is just how many levels of level controls there are for the Verselab. So I thought that was interesting. For instance, I have a song pulled up here. Some of the big ones you need to know is if you go to edit song, you got this master level there. That's your song level. Even on the track. So if I go to X out there, go to the vocal here, go to the mixer on the vocal. That's a track level. If it was a tone, there's a tone kind of clip level too. And then you even have like a take level. So there's so many levels. And that's not even the mic level, mic effects level. There's so many levels it can really confuse you at first when you're like, okay, how do I get the mic working, get stuff going in here? So let me go back here, pick another. So I had this kind of background music going here. Just a beat and a bass line and a little keys part. Just to provide some background because you can't record any vocals outside of song mode. So, I kind of have those in sequence mode on a few different tracks. And then you can go in and record your actual song modes, which is really what I ended up doing here. I just took the same first section and just stretched it several times just to have something to work with. So if I want to get stuff in, so there's a few different things you got to know first of all. And I'll probably mute one mic when I start talking into this other mic. So, but you have, for instance, you need to turn the mic on. Check. Now I already got something here, and I already have some effects going through. Check. So if I mute my other one, now I'm speaking straight into the mic into the Verselab. So I'll talk through that for a minute. As far as some gain levels on that, a couple things you can do. So you can go edit mic here. You can pick, external mic. It might be default to internal, so you got to switch that on. Phantom's off. You can set some delay and reverb settings there. If I exit out of there, if you go to kind of an easier way to get to mic input settings to me is the input button over here because you don't have to do edit plus a key or anything. So you still got the mic in. You can set that into internal. Some of the same levels, but some of the same settings. But the important thing here is this external level. So right now I'm speaking into it. If I bring this way down, voice goes away. My voice goes away. Now it comes back. So generally speaking, I don't see a great reason not to max that out, but whatever. And right at the moment, I'm going to switch this. Right now I have a record source set to that. I will get into explaining these record source settings here in 1 second. So, but for now, I'll just leave that there. And all the other stuff I'm not really messing with because a lot of line level stuff. So we have our mic. We have it on. If I turn that off, then you can't hear it. So now I'm back on my other mic. So obviously you have to have your mic button on here. So when that's on, I got both mics going here. Check. 1, 2, 2, 2. Here we go. So the thing is, I'll bring this down, talk without it for a sec. The trick here is figuring out what you want baked in effect wise or not, and how to even kind of route that properly. So to kind of start talking about that, I'm gonna switch over to my vocal track. So now I'm on these takes. It says recording standby and all this stuff. So right now I have this vocal processor on. That kind of just turns the general vocal processor effects on if you want them. And so this kind of gets me back to these recording sources. So let me try to give you a really good explanation of that. So you have this recording source, EXT, and then you have either wet, dry, or WD. I've seen people explain this before, but the best way I can think of it is think of it as what's in the parentheses. If there's only one thing in parentheses and there's not a slash, then what's in parentheses is talking about what you're recording. And then there's kind of an implicit monitoring state also. All right. So if you have EXT wet, that means it's going to record your wet signal. So if you have, and all this depends, by the way, on you setting another setting, which is, I'll show you that in a minute. When I get back to the vocal processing effects, that's in here when you do edit in this guy. But just right now think of, if we have this set to EXT wet, it's recording the wet signal, assuming you have the vocal effects coming on your input, and then it's always going to monitor those like wet. The default is it's going to monitor wet. So records wet, monitors wet. This one records dry, but monitors wet. So you might hear, if you got some nice EQ or doubler effect or something like that, you're hearing that and you're monitoring, but it's going to record it without that effect. So just think record dry, which that makes sense if you like the sound of it when you're tracking something in, but then maybe you want to like add effects later, have flexibility to do stuff later effects wise, then that makes a lot of sense to do that. That way you're not baking in an effect that you can't then pull off later. So another one here is, this one's the trickiest one, WD. Since there's a slash, think of it this way. What's on the left is what you're recording of the slash, and what's on the right of the slash is what you're monitoring. So in this case, it records wet, but you're monitoring it without the effects. Now you may say, like, and I thought at first, I was like, man, what the heck would the purpose of that be? Like, what's the functional use case for that? And what I thought about was, since we have harmony effects in the vocal processing, let's say you want to add a third harmony, coming in, you want to bake this in. So you want to record it wet with the harmony, not have to do that later through resampling or something. So you want to record the harmony, but obviously if you've ever tried to record yourself singing a melody and you hear a harmony too loud, it can mess up your singing of the melody. So in that case, you want to monitor it dry without that effect, without the harmony. You don't want to hear it while you're recording your part, but you want it to be baking in that harmony when it records down. So to me, that's the biggest use case for this EXT-WD that I could think of anyway. So again, those work, and again, those all depend on you having the vocal effects turned on the input, right? So where do you do that, you say? So we'll get out of here. For right now, I'm gonna go back to, I'll go back to wet here for now. So if you go into edit and on the vocal processor, the little on button here, the easiest place to always find this is it comes to this menu. It defaults to common. Now if you were already in another section like way down here, it may default to that, but first section is common. Click that. It's right here. This position is huge. If you like, this affects stuff both coming in, resampling. There's so many places where how this is set affects the routing. So what you want, if you want it affecting something on the way in, you want to change this to EXTN, right? So that is going to apply the effect when you record in. So we'll leave that there, and then we'll mess around here and throw something on, throw something kind of exaggerated on. So we'll exit out of that. And then inside here, you can kind of pick what vocal effects you want. So for instance, I'll pick harmony just for the fun of it. Hey, hey, hey. So you hear a little harmony there? All right, let me get off this, mute this other mic here. Now you can hear just this. So we have that harmony on, which is ridiculous, but it's cool. We're going to experiment. I just want to see if it bakes this in, right? So how are we going to find that out? I'm going to go to record standby. And actually, one thing to always keep in mind, see how this is flashing here? It's because, and you can see even like the measure number here, that means I'm not all the way to the beginning. So if I wanted to record at the beginning, let's say, actually you have to exit out, turn record off, then move that over, and now it goes back to 1. Now you can see this is flashing, we're at the very beginning. There's ways to move these around later, or you can start them at certain sections of the song. For this purpose, I'm not doing any of that. We're just starting from the beginning for illustration purposes. So I get that ready to go, and let's record this in, see if it captures the harmony. I'm gonna sing some dumb harmony. Does it get baked into the track? Okay, so we got that. One cool thing, you can always preview these things. I'm gonna sing some dumb harmony. Okay, so for right now, I think it baked it in. So, yeah, still got the harmony on the voice. Tell you what I will do, just temporarily. I'm gonna switch back to this mic for a sec. Let's go back to our other mic, so I don't have harmony going all over the place. Sorry for the switching mics, but it just makes sense. So if you go in here, you can actually see, if you go edit, and then the pad we just recorded, this take sample edit has an important thing. There's some things you can adjust, start and end, but that's not usually or even, there's a level here, by the way, that's important. So if you have different takes, you want one louder than another. But the one that really is important is this out assign. Actually, right now I have it assigned to something from earlier for comp 1. So normally, I think the default is dry. So this is basically saying I'm kind of not sending it anywhere. Like I'm not applying any other effects beyond what got recorded coming in, right? So if that's set on, right, and then I play it, if I have the vocal harmony, then it recorded, it got baked in. I'm gonna sing some dumb harmony. All right, so there you go. Like there's that. Now, just to prove some of these other settings, we still have the vocal effects on that external end coming in. So if I go to this one, let's say. Oh, by the way, if you want to mess around and like record one and not hear the other one, if you hold mixer and press the previous pad, that mutes it. You can kind of tell it's not as bright. All right, so now we go back on this guy. And then what I want to do, I want to change this setting. Remember we talked about these settings. Now I want to hear the harmony coming in, but I want to record it dry. So let's try that. So that's going to be this setting. Record source external, dry. I should still hear the harmony in my ear, in my monitoring. So all right, we exited on that. And we're going to move this, remember, measure, bring it back to the beginning. And now I'm going to switch mics again. All right, here we go. So let's get ready to record this guy. So what I'm expecting is I hear the harmony when I'm recording it. As I'm talking now, you can hear it. But then it's going to bake it in dry, right? So check it out. This is my second harmony test. Will it record with the harmony or be dry? All right. Get off the crazy mic, back to here. And so now, and just to double check that it's not being routed into anything, you can always check edit pad, take sample edit, out assign dry. So that means I'm not sending it anywhere else for any other effects. Should be just straight whatever I record in. So let's check it. This is my second harmony test. Will it record with the harmony or be dry? All right, so we got a dry signal that's working like we expected. Just hey, you want to try the other one? Let's try the other one. What the heck? So let's go into this, and I'm gonna mute this guy again. Bring you to here. Go back there. So now we're going to go to input, do that third setting. Okay. So this one, if remember, on the left is what we record, on the right is what we monitor. Should record wet, but monitor dry. We shouldn't hear it when we're recording. So muting that one, getting back on this guy. And by the way, the reason you hear effects, I do have some reverb delays on the vocal track in general, if you hear that. Okay, so record this once again. This is my third chance to hear harmony, but I don't hear it right now in my ears. How will it get printed? Okay. So you heard in my ear, other than the delay and reverb that I have in the general track, you didn't hear the harmony when I was recording in. So let's check it out and see what happened there. So all those are muted, we're good. This is my third chance to hear harmony. Ooh, it's a little hot. But I don't hear it right now in my ears. How will it get printed? So that does bring up a point. You have this mic gain here. You can keep an eye on it. I mean, if I'm really hard on the mic, you can make that turn red, and that's probably not a good thing. So, but yeah, so there you go. That's kind of our three methods of external in, whether we bank stuff in or not. Now there's some other routing to think about. All right, so I'm trying to remember, is this the one that we did that was dry? Let me, in fact, that last one was such a mess. Let me show you how to delete a track. That's a good thing to know, or a take, I should say. They're all part of the vocal track, but you can just do clear, hit the take, hit OK, boom. And just remember, sometimes you do that, you start moving around, you forget. In fact, you can even delete a track while it's muted, and that might throw you off later. So if I had accidentally muted this track and nothing's on there, then there you go. It flashes, but it's darker. So if you see a darker flash, just remember, oh, mixer, unmuted. So I'm gonna unmute this guy, and if I go, you see it's the brighter yellow, and that started. I didn't go all the way back. This is my second harmony test. So I really want to use this one because I want to show something else. Okay. So I'm going to show you a couple ways you can route this. So let's say you record it dry, which is often what I'm going to do. If you want like just a user case, to me the best things to bake in would be some EQ settings. So I think that one I recorded dry, right? Like one thing about this mic, it's a little boomy. I'm back on the dynamic mic. It's a little boomy, so I'll just show you a use case of what I might do for something like this instead. So if I go to my vocal effects stuff here, I'm going to turn the harmony off. Don't want that. Okay, cool. And then exit, sorry. And then I'm going to go back to EQ and... Okay, cool. I do have that one on. So in this case, and this was just for this mic, I had an EQ set. High gain was up a little bit. The low mid gain was -4. I took out at 250 hertz, get rid of some of the mud, left the Q res. I had a little mid gain at 2 kilohertz there, and I took a low cut at 80 hertz. So I did all that. So we got that on, cool. Leave it on, and then I want to exit out of here. I want to go to common, external in. So I do want it applied coming in. Then if I go back to here, record source, let's get that. And I want to go that to wet. So I want to record the wet signal with the cleaned up mic coming in. So let's do this. Cool. All right, so we got this. Let me mute this guy. We'll go back to this track here and go all the way to the left here. I'm just going to record this coming in. So this should record in, and you can, I don't know if you can already hear it, but it already like took some of the low mud out of this microphone. So if I record that. I don't want the low mud in my microphone. I'm singing softly on purpose for something I'm about to try. Okay. All right, so we got that. Which again, now if we play it back, it's still, if we go edit and check this, it's still going to dry. We're not sending it anywhere else outside of the normal vocal effects that I got over here. But if we play it now, we should just hear, that cleaned up mic. I don't want the low mud in my microphone. So there you go, yeah. I'm singing softly on purpose for something I'm about to try. Okay. Yeah, it's fun to record dumb things. So I like doing it. Okay, so now let's check something else out. Two things. All right. I'm going to show you how to route to multi-effects. So if you go to we're on the vocal track here. For one thing, I was talking about how I have some delay and reverb on the mic on there. So if I go to the mixer while the vocal track's selected, you can pan over. Okay, that's where I was getting that delay and reverb from, right? So if it's here, I can bring it down. Oops. Still haven't figured out this negative stuff on here. That's kind of weird, but not used to that. Check. Oh, you know what? That probably is. See, now you're like, you lied to us. I think that's up here. So there. Cool, got rid of it. Oops. So there's actually two spots. I guess this is like kind of coming in vocally directly, like on the mic. But then you also have this on the vocal track in general, which I think if I bring this up here, I think that's going to be played back. So yeah, you're not hearing it now, right? But I bet if I play this back, I don't want the low mud in my mind. So there you go, yeah. If I bring it down here, I don't want the low mud. So that brings about a good distinction point. Anytime something's talking about the vocal, something's being applied to the vocals, it's really like takes that are already recorded. External in is kind of a different beast, so just keep that distinction in your mind. It comes in handy later for some resampling stuff. Okay, but now we got this going here. I took all that off. And again, you can want the low mud in my microphone. Cool. All right, so now what I want to do, I want to show you how to apply stuff to the multi-effects. So I think, if I remember correctly, I'm going to try it again. I think you do edit and vocal, and then that takes you to the multi-effects. Right now the switch is on. I got this multi-tap delay. So this will sound very obvious and very insane whenever I route it on, but right now it's on the vocal track in general. I just have to send things to it, right? So you say, how do I send? What if I want to send this that I just recorded into that, right? Okay, so that's what we do, the edit pad, and we change our out of sign to, where's that? Dry. Out of sign vocal, oh my gosh. Oh, there it is. I was like, where'd it go? So we want to go to out of sign multi-effects. So now, if I just play that track. I don't want the low mud in my microphone. Yeah. I'm singing something on purpose for something I'm about to try. I'm sorry, I just had so much fun with that multi-tap delay, bro. Like, you could just spend a few hours in your bedroom playing with that thing. But anyway, so yeah, so we got to get heading toward that. That's cool. But the other main thing you might want to do, and I think of it as almost like layering effects. So I might have one layer coming in where I just want to do my EQ for my microphone, right? Then hold on, let me check something here. Okay, cool. Sorry. So, I might want to record EQ coming in, and then I might want to move it into a compressor, just to add a little compression. So that's what I was going to do here. Edit this guy. Oops, sorry, we're already there. So take sample edit. So here, I'm going to go to compressor 1. Okay. Now I had already set compressor 1 up, but if you want to know how you set that up, again, it's under edit vocal multi-effects here, or vocal effects, and you have comp 1 through comp 6. Now, right now, I have it turned on, so I'll turn it off first and play that one. I don't want the low mud in my microphone. Okay, all right, so we've got that, and I'm going to turn it on. I don't want the low mud in my microphone. I'm singing softly on purpose for something I'm about to try. So hear that quiet part. Now if I turn that back off and go back, where it said I'm singing quiet on purpose. I don't want the low mud in my microphone. I'm singing softly on purpose for something I'm about to try. You can hear it jump. You can hear it jump when I turn the compressor on. Now one thing that might throw you off, let's say you are like me and you have some crazy multi-tap delay on your compressor, and let's say the first time you start shutting the compressor, even if you switch it on or off, the minute you route it through edit pad here to compressor 1, you might hear your delay, your multi-effect. You're like, whoa, why am I hearing that? Well, here's the deal. If you go into compressor, at the end of all these settings here, there's an out assign. And I think that defaults to multi-effects. So you could have that set that way. Have the compression actually off, right? Switch off. Check it out.
I don't want the low mud in my microphone.
And my friends, that can confuse the hell out of you the first time, because you're like, wait, dude, I have the compressor off. I'm just sending it to a compressor. Why am I hearing ridiculous multi-effects? That's why. So the out assign there, multi-effects. So you can, if you just want that to be dry, which for a lot of this type of purpose, that's probably what I would do. Then you turn that off. Then you can turn that switch back on, record it in that way. So let's say we like that compressed sound real quick, and let's go into, we're going into compressor. I need to turn it back on again. I had that switched off. So let's turn it back on. Let's assume this is the best compression ever, and I want to keep it whatever, whether it is or not, whatever. So I want to record that into, let's say, this pad. So I want to kind of bake in the compression. I already got baked in the EQ. I want to bake in the compression, right? So how do we do that? Well, first thing we have to change is the record source, because we really want to record from the vocal track, into itself, basically, not from the external mic, but we want this sound to go through where we're sending it and then record it here. So we're gonna do that input, and for recording source, instead of external wet, we're gonna change that, and you scroll all the way over. You got all the tracks. We're going right before mix out. You can't. I've seen a video where a guy does mix out. If you wanted the master effects, he has a whole thing, but you don't really need to do that. You can pick your multi effects just on the vocal track, and by doing that, you can still kind of be playing along with it. You don't have to mute all the other instruments or anything. You just put recording source vocal, and now that you do that, now you can. I'll go back to first measure. Click over to this guy. And where I'm recording standby, and that's all you gotta do is you click the other pad, make sure this pad is at the right measure, ready to go, or if you just click record off, you can go back. And then it's yellow, so it's gonna play from here, it's gonna record into here. Here we go.
I don't want the low mud in my microphone. I'm singing softly on purpose for something I'm about to try.
Okay. All right, so now we got that. Now let's just to kind of verify this, we're gonna mute that one. I'm gonna double check where that one's going. Right now that's going to dry, so it's not going to the compressor. So this is just baked in, no effects, no nothing. So we'll take that one and let's check it and see if it picked up. Listen, on the quiet part, did it pick up the compression?
I don't want the low mud in my microphone. I'm singing softly on purpose for something I'm about to try.
Yeah, definitely picked up the compression. So now let's say you're a psychopath and you do want that crazy delay that we had, just for the fun of it. So now let's go into this guy again, this pad, and we want to send it out assign to the multi effects. Okay. So now it should be that crazy.
I don't want the low.
So again, we're a psycho. We want that. I'll double check. My input's still set to vocal. That's what I want. All right. And so here we're going to do. Playing from here. Back that thing up. We're going to record into here. Into this pad. Record. And here we go.
I don't want the low mud in my microphone. I'm singing softly on purpose for something I'm about to try.
Okay. I love the ping pong cake. All right, so now, again, let's verify. Did it work? I feel like I'm on a game show here. We're gonna check it, sample edit, dry. So we got nothing else applied. Did we pick that up?
I don't want the low mud in my mind.
And there we go, man. That's what we got. And I think the cool thing is you can even, again, if your source's input is vocal, you could take 3 of these different ones, so that's how people, and I've seen a video too where somebody did that with harmonies, if you got, your melody here and 2 harmonies here, and they're synced up time wise, just select all those to play. I think you can you select those to play? I'm gonna try that. Sorry, started talking before I know if you can. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, they'll play at the same time. That's right. If you unmute them all, like, in fact, to prove that out, this is gonna be chaotic. Do I dare? If I unmute all these guys and then back up, then it's gonna sound horrible, but it'll prove the point.
I don't want
That's terrible. But that would be how you do it, right? You have all those three unmuted, you'd pick another pad. As long as recording source is vocal, it's just going to pull anything off the vocal track. And they could actually theoretically be pointing to different things, right? Like one could be going to a compressor, one could be going to a multi-effects. Now I think you can only have one multi-effects for the whole vocal track, so obviously there'd be a limitation. You couldn't send one through a phaser and one through a chorus at the same exact time, But you could do that by layering one on the other kind of thing. So anyway, man, that's kind of really what I wanted to hit for the routing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to hit. That's pretty much it. And again, on each one of these, you can change where they start and stop and which sections and move the timing around and all that stuff, or start, chop off parts of it to trim it down. And there's a lot of stuff that could be done. But overall, once I finally got that, man, it felt clunky at first. And as far as these effects, just so you know, like when these vocal effects, you can kind of pick. I'm sorry, if you do shift, sorry, I didn't mention this, but I'll mention it. So if you do shift and then the vocal on, then you can kind of switch these. These are kind of just presets, but really, like, each of these presets has certain settings. So like if you picked whatever, hip hop or something, right? Once you do that, if you do edit and on, whatever settings are in here are on all of these are what are the settings on that preset. So the harmony might be on and it might be, set to a certain thing, and but that's only for the hip hop, right? Like basically the minute you start tweaking these settings through the edit on here, you're kind of taking that preset and then now you're modifying it, And if you just want an initial one without kind of a bunch of stuff baked in, then you go down to the init patch. I haven't really figured out outside of the init patch. I don't know. I haven't figured out how to like save long-term your own, I think I'm just gonna like write down the settings elsewhere on a spreadsheet or something, and that way if I really want to dial it up. But if anybody knows how to save your own, especially if you could give it a name, it'd be awesome. But yeah, haven't figured that out. But anyway, cool box. It's limited and quirky in some areas. I have a 707 MC707, and there's some things that it does a lot better and wilder. But this thing has its own vibe, and the vocal thing is unique. And it's just kind of fun to mess around with. So it's quirky, it's fun to mess around with, and the price isn't ridiculous for the decent sounds you can actually get out of it. So that is all I got for today. And maybe try to make another video or two here at some point and see what we can throw down.